Good afternoon. My name is Gladis, and I'm here to kind of give you a quick lesson on what I call the coach approach to leadership. The coach approach is a system of asking questions to get people to make change. That's it in a nutshell. Many of us think that in leadership, the idea is to be the answer man. You know, I've got to answer any question you have, and the higher up I get in the organization, the more answers I should know. That's how I get to the top level. We're going to show you that that really isn't what people need and doesn't usually work as well as this. When people come to you with problems, they usually want you to hear them out, not necessarily give them advice. And the way to do that is to ask 4 significant questions. So you might want to take a sticky, and on the corner of the sticky write four questions: what, who, how, and open-ended. Those are the key questions that open up a dialogue with somebody else. If you really want to know what they're thinking or what their background is about on a problem or any of that, you have to ask them these open-ended questions. If you run those questions through a matrix, and this matrix all deals with the problem that people bring to you. The first thing you do is talk about the problem, the second, the current status, the third, the ideal state, and finally, fourth, the plan of going forward. So the way it works is this: that when somebody comes to you with a problem, you might want to ask them questions about who, what, or how about the problem. So who's involved in the problem? What have you done so far? How is this problem affecting you right now? What do you want out of the session that we get here? Do you want my advice, or do you want some help with getting through the problem? Sometimes you just need to find out what they need and what they want. The second thing is the current status. And the current status of the problem is kind of how it's affecting their life. What would happen if they don't solve the problem going forward a year from now? What would have happened? What's at stake in this problem? Is this problem something that's going to affect their career? Is going to affect their livelihood? How big a problem is this on the scale of important issues? The third thing is the ideal state. You always want to ask people, what's the ideal state here? If things really went well, what would it look like? Sometimes we call it the miracle questions. What would happen if a miracle happened last night and everything was better? When people tell you what that might look like and actually physically describe who would be involved in that, what would be going on, how would they be interacting with, say, their boss on a question or a problem or an issue, if you get the ideal state, people can hit that ideal state once they see it. In other words, you need a target before you can hit it. It's that simple, but that powerful. Asking them what the target looks like is really important. And the final thing is to ask them, now that we've talked about this, what do you see as a plan going forward? What would you see would be the most powerful steps you could take moving forward on this plan? That's a good question to ask because it forces them to think about, well, what would they do? Sometimes with clients and with friends and family members, I'll ask them, okay, if they can't think of anything, and sometimes they come up blank, I'll say, do you want to brainstorm? So we kind of go out of coaching for just a little bit, go into brainstorming, and then come back to coaching saying, okay, now that we've gotten these things down, which of these would be the most powerful for you to take forward? What would be the one biggest step that you could take going forward? And then we ask for accountability. When would you do this? When would you do this? How could you get this done in the next 2 weeks? And how would I know? Sometimes have people call me or email me. In fact, this morning one of my clients emailed me that he had done something that he said he would do. It's about accountability. The accountability is what pushes this thing forward. If you do all these, ask these questions through this matrix, you'll get change that's lasting and makes sense. The coach approach is a smart way to manage. Forget being the answer man. Start becoming the question person. Thank you.